Entrance to the home office is just off the kitchen area via a narrow passage, which is made even narrower by having customers' computers queued up waiting to be worked on, and various cardboard storage boxes. A set of shelves next to that is just the first of many eyesores. There's a shelf for CD and DVD recording software, and even some old floppy disks. Then a shelf of motherboard driver disks, installed software, phone boxes, and old work diaries. Followed by various connectors and cables I use, new hard drives, used optical drives, and front bay card readers. The next shelf has various flavors of old RAM, anti-static bags and bubble wrap, take-out containers filled with various computer bits and pieces, CPU fan assemblies, and other small fans. The top is just a collection of various junk and a surprisingly organised box of various size screws for PCs and laptops. The first monitor we see is a 17-inch piece of junk that's going to be eliminated in the whole office refurb. Now, its sole purpose in life is to display the private Ark Survival Evolve server and Mumble server that I share with a small group of gamers. As you can see, cable management here is somewhat lacking. Actually, that's the tidiest bit of cabling in the whole office. So if you're an OCD cable obsessive, I recommend you stop watching now because it's only going to get worse. Anyway, the 17-inch monitor is connected to this PC, which is running Windows 10, and due to lack of space, the keyboard and mouse just live on top until I need to use them. The next computer is currently running Windows XP, and is only used for the bookkeeping and invoicing side of my business. It will also be eliminated in the office refurb. Boxes of my business cards live on top. I did warn you that cable management was a nightmare. It really is non-existent. Those 5 Ethernet cables run from my switch to other rooms in the house. The guy who wired it said it was the only place he could install it due to access problems behind the wall. So this XP machine is connected to a 19-inch Acer monitor, which is shared via a 4-port KVM. The other 3 ports of the KVM are used by a Windows 10 bench test PC and 2 sets of cables for plugging into customers' computers once they're in the workshop. The cable nightmare continues to get worse, with power boards now added into the mix. And in my defense, when this office was cobbled together 8 years ago, I did plan to hide cables by installing this cable trunking, which runs around the office perimeter. The problem was that it simply wasn't big enough for the amount of cables in the office. There's also lots of wasted space behind almost all of the bench tops next to the walls, and in the office refurb, I'm going to be reclaiming that space for more benchtop area and, most importantly, some underbench cable management. You're probably noticing by now that there's a pattern developing where every horizontal surface has to be cluttered up with stuff. In my defense, it is stuff that gets used all the time, but it just needs to be hidden away. Talking about hiding things away, this D-Link 24-port switch is going to be hidden away in the refurb, and true tech heads will of course be shaking their heads and saying you shouldn't mount a switch that way because debris will get into the ports. So as a ghetto fix, I cover the unused ports with clear tape, and you can actually see the amount of dust build up there. Currently living underneath the switch is my i7 gaming PC, which runs Windows 7 Pro. The CPU is liquid cooled, and you can just see the radiator and the blue LED fans attached to it. Those are going to get swapped out for green LED fans, and I'll go into more detail about this PC and the things that will happen to it when the office refurb is complete. Oh look, there's a small horizontal surface. Let's use that to store some old hard drives, eh? The i7 PC is attached to a BenQ 24-inch monitor, and it's also accompanied by an Asus 19-inch monitor. And yes, those are actual photos I took while scuba diving. If there was an awards night for the crappiest cable management in the world, I reckon I'd be a winner. And I'm actually wondering right now how many OCD cable obsessives have made it this far into the video. And if you haven't had enough of maxed out power boards, here's another one for your viewing pleasure. Here's my second KVM switch, which my i7 PC passes through, and it also uses the 19-inch Asus monitor to display output from a second bench test PC and 2 more sets of cables for hooking up to customers' PCs. The eagle-eyed viewer may also be wondering why I have this dinosaur of a telephone included in the mix. I call it my Battlestar Galactica phone because it gets its power through the telephone line, which means that when we lose power during big electrical storms and the digital phone can't function, I'm still able to call the power company and hear their recorded message that tells me when power is likely to be restored in my area. This is my second bench tester PC, and it runs Windows XP, because XP still impresses me, and it can also be more willing than Windows 10 to get along with customers' older hard drives. On the shelves next to that, there are some boxes containing various PCI cards, some old GPUs, and all sorts of cables and connectors. Below that, a box is filled with old case fans and a ton of old power transformers. In the corner, amongst the other stuff, I have a Cytec throttle and joystick, which you'll see in the final video of the Office refurb. Again, more horizontal surfaces, just waiting to have stuff placed on them, but it's all stuff that gets used nearly every day. There's a bunch of paper for the household network printer. Next to that is some of my scuba diving bits and pieces, which will get moved out. Then some spare parts, which will all be hidden away in the refurb. One of the things that takes up way too much space in this small office is the metal 4-drawer filing cabinet. It's getting moved into the garage and will be replaced by 2 smaller 2-drawer filing cabinets, which will sit underneath a workbench. For some final horizontal horror, there's more junk that will be decluttered. One other thing to observe is the missing patches of lino, which had to be cut away after 8 years of moving a chair back and forth, which had basically just worn it out. That then caused a second problem with the exposed concrete slab, wearing away the plastic wheels of my chair, which in turn made the chair unmovable. A solution was the purchase of this thick industrial-grade rubber matting and the purchase of new chair wheels. The Office refurb will have carpet laid, and the rubber will be cut to fit perfectly, as the chair does glide extremely well on it.